What's up, guys? Heretic right here. I'm back with another Steven Universe theory for you guys that this time I worked on this one with the help of my wife, Mari. So, she's actually the one who got me into the show, so then I just kind of got addicted. She was watching it with our son, but I'm not going to go too much into that. It was a couple of years ago now. So, anyway, something that I've always just kind of been wondering about, even like after we found out that she was originally shattered, is where exactly is Pink Diamond? Like, where are her remains? And so this is like a great mystery because we don't really know a lot about like exactly where her remains ended up. We don't know who would have even put them anywhere. So a lot of this is going to be speculation. So just kind of be aware of that. But just kind of some different places that maybe Pink Diamond's gem or shards could be, and then we'll kind of get to, just like the places that people have speculated, and a very interesting place that Mari actually brought up based on where, like, another possibility. So, I guess, like, just some of the places we've seen that just people have been talking about more. Like, the first one I want to go over is the treasure chest inside of Lion's Mane. I think a lot of people have speculated that Pink Diamond's shards are located in this treasure chest. What are your thoughts on that? Just before I go with my own.
Well, I do feel like it's definitely a possibility, but I do kind of agree with what you said earlier, is that seems way too obvious that it's just in the treasure chest in Lion's Mane. But I don't really have a reason as to why it wouldn't be a possibility, other than it's kind of obvious. So I suppose it's definitely a possibility, but it does seem kind of odd, because whether they're the shattered bits or the intact gem, either way you're going to want to bubble it. And it seems weird to put a bubble inside of a treasure chest when it's basically already in kind of a box already, but, you know.
Yeah, and, I mean, you could say that you're trying to hide it, I guess, by putting it in the treasure chest, but then wouldn't she have done the same thing with Bismuth?
Yeah.
I mean, Bismuth was in a bubble, literally just sitting in that room. Or in that pocket dimension, yeah. And I would think, like you said, you would want to bubble it, because otherwise the gems, even the shattered pieces, would form like the mutant arms and legs did in Nightmare Hospital, and like what was supposed to make up the cluster and keeping it together. So actually, I really agree with that, and I think really just it being obvious as well is enough all by itself, because you think about like just the way that the Crewniverse kind of writes the show, and I feel like nothing is ever entirely what it seems like down the stretch. It seems like, I mean, they made, they made Rose Quartz out to be basically a saint in the beginning, and then they're like, oh, she shattered Pink Diamond, she's a war criminal.
Which we don't know that.
No, we don't, because now, like, after the trial, like, suspicion fell on Yellow Diamond. Some people are pointing at White Diamond. Some people are pointing at Pearl. So that's just an example, I think, of, like, something that's right out in the open. Usually, like, unless they're confirming it at that moment, is almost never the case in this show. Like, there's always twists and turns that seem to occur, and I feel like the Crewniverse wouldn't make it that simple. Like, granted, they haven't talked about that treasure chest yet, but it's right there in the open. Like, you see it in Lion 3.
Yeah.
I mean, he goes in there, you see everything that's inside. And so that's, like, that just seems a little too easy for me. The second spot that I want to go over is, were her gem shards maybe put in the cluster?
No.
Alright, enlighten us once again. Why are her gem shards not in the cluster?
Well, for one thing, it's a geo-weapon created by Homeworld. And if you think of Gem Drill and them trying to figure out how to even get to the cluster, first off, Pearl didn't even know about it. They were like, well, what's the cluster? What's all this? So, if we're going under the assumption that Rose Quartz did do it, or Pearl, or anybody from the Rebellion, they did not seem to know it was even there. So, first off, they didn't know that the cluster existed, and secondly, they wouldn't have had access to it to begin with. Technology was very, very primitive back then. They didn't have access to gem technology. Our technology certainly wasn't where it was. Yeah. We probably didn't even really have a lot of metal and stuff like that back then in terms of, like, creating, like,
Even
Stupid,
the drill,
like
the only thing,
So,
they had the injector drills from the kindergarten, but they couldn't put it together.
Yeah, exactly. They needed Peridot's help, so they didn't even have really the technical knowledge to do it. Now, I suppose you could say that one of the diamonds tried to hide the pieces down there or something, but it just seems very, very unlikely that they managed to put diamond pieces inside of this giant geo-weapon. And like I said, it seems pretty impossible that anybody from the rebellion would have been able to access this geo-weapon that they didn't even know about to put the shards in there.
I would agree with that. And if it was Rose Quartz or Pearl, because Pearl didn't know, and if Rose Quartz knew about it, she would have tried to do something about it. If they were, I don't think anyone from the rebellion would put pink diamond shards in the cluster because it was going to destroy the Earth.
Yeah.
And as far as Homeworld doing it, my argument as to why, whether it was Yellow Diamond or White Diamond or anyone, I would argue that the concept, the cluster was not specifically only designed to destroy the Earth. It was supposed to destroy the Earth upon simply forming.
Yeah.
And then it was going to become a massive geo-weapon that Homeworld could use whenever they wanted, basically. It belonged to Yellow Diamond.
It was basically putting a ticking time bomb in the center of the Earth and just waiting for it to blow the Earth up.
Yeah, and then they would have a weapon for other planets and stuff like that if they felt the need to use it.
I feel like it was a one-time use sort of deal. Once it reached that point where it tried to reform and it couldn't, and it would become unstable and basically blow up. So I feel like it only is a one-time use. It's like a bomb.
Well, because anything else in that scenario, you would think if anyone from Homeworld actually saw the formed cluster and there were pink diamond shards in it, you would be like, wait, why are these arms and legs or whatever, why are these gem pieces or body limbs so much larger than all the rest of these?
Yeah, again, it would require on the part of the diamonds a lot, let's say just Yellow Diamond did it. Let's just entertain that thought for a moment. And she's trying to destroy the evidence and hide the body in a sort of way.
Yeah.
How many people would she have had to get together to put those shards in there? And granted, I realize she just would have shattered them afterwards anyway to keep them from talking, but that is a pretty huge undertaking, and that's a lot of people that you're going to have to get involved with this plan when she could just do something else with the body that wouldn't require so many people to, hey, I need you to take this corpse, don't mention it to anybody, drill to the center of the Earth with you and your crew, drop it off there, and then come back up. And you know what I mean? I feel like she could have disposed of the body, so to speak.
The shards,
in a better way without having to involve so many people.
Definitely. Now, and again, I completely agree with that, and she would have to shatter all these other gems then that took the shards of pink diamond down there after the cluster was sealed.
Yeah.
And at that point, then you're going to have a whole bunch of other shards, where are those going to go? You could argue that maybe those are the ones that surfaced after in Keep It Together or whatever, in Nightmare Hospital. But again, it just seems way too far-fetched, because why would it take them that many years to appear? That just seems silly. Now, the third location that some people have been kicking around that I've heard would be Homeworld. Now, again, I'm going to go ahead and let you elaborate on this first.
Okay, if you want me to keep going first, I shall. No.
Straight, clear cut, and to the point.
Because where does Blue Diamond keep going to mourn for Pink Diamond?
The Palanquin.
She keeps coming to Earth. I feel like if she had the shards and they were bubbled on Homeworld, that's mainly what she would be visiting, because she even visits the Rose Quartz gems, even though they were, they technically...
The one was a traitor that we know.
They felt that they were traitors, and she still even visits them. So if they had the shards or the gem, then she would go and visit that primarily, rather than constantly making trips to the Earth to come and visit the Palanquin and cry, or to visit her zoo and things like that.
And see, and they're all we have left of her. And it's interesting because saying about the Rose Quartz gems that then the zoo that it's all we have left of her would also imply that Pink Diamond has literally no idea where the shards are herself. If the shards were, let's say, in the Palanquin in bubbles, and Blue Diamond knew that, then she would, she'd be able to access the shards. The palanquin is not, like, it's worn down, the legs of it are broken, but the body of it is mostly intact. It's just covered by moss. So, that's just kind of like another little location inside the palanquin where I feel like it's just not really a thing, because again, they would have to be bubbled. And every shard individually, unless you have, like, one big bubble with all of them, like the cluster has. Which we do know that Rose would be capable of bubbling multiple shards. I mean, we saw it in Secret Team, and then we saw Steven do it in Gems Room. But that just doesn't really seem like it would fit. And much like the body, the gem of a diamond is significantly larger than any other gem. Because proportionally to the rest of their body, it's the same size as any other.
Yeah.
So, this brings up a really, really interesting scenario, and something I never thought of, something you mentioned to me when I was just talking about, like, where do you think Pink Diamond is? Like, I had seen a couple of videos by, I don't remember, I think it was Slice of Otaku and Roundtable about, just like speculation of Pink Diamond's location. And there's a place that I guess, like, I had completely forgotten about this, but you want to go ahead and say, like, where do you think where do you think her shards are located?
The temple.
Okay.
But
all right, well, elaborate.
Allow me to elaborate.
Yes,
I'm not just throwing some random thing out there. So, we have gotten a surprisingly important character that exposits future events to us that everybody in the fandom hates.
That's true.
And that is Ronaldo.
Ronaldo Fryman.
There have been a few instances where he said something that has become true later in the future, even though we were just kind of watching him like, you're crazy, Ronaldo. You thought Sneeple were real, whatever. Yeah. So the first example is in Keep Beach City Weird, where he is looking at the dollar
bill, yeah,
and
all those papers.
Suddenly abandons his theory on Sneeples, and he says, I know what the diamond means. Polymorphic sentient rocks. They're here to hollow out the earth. It's part of the Great Diamond Authority. They'll take on any form. Which, of course, at the time we thought was silly, but we hadn't heard any mention of the diamonds at all at that point.
No, we hadn't.
So it was actually foreshadowing
the Diamond Authority,
who I hate to say was right.
Well, and the thing is, he foreshadows several things there, because at the time we thought that the diamond on the dollar bill was just a gemstone, to symbolize, like, amethyst, pearl, garnet, rose quartz, like, and we learned that there were other gems, mid-season 1, when we learned that, it's not just the corrupted ones, we meet lapis lazuli. And so he foreshadows in this instance the diamonds and the Great Diamond Authority. He even has the name right. And then hollowing out the earth, which was revealed in It Could Have Been Great. And then just the shape-shifting in general, he says they'll take on any form. So, like, you're foreshadowing 3 things right there. And, and that's not even the only time that he's done that, either. Because we see in Rising Tides, Crashing Skies, just in a little conversation with Steven, he's asking him about the ship, and he says, wait, so the giant hand wasn't here to snatch up humans for a human zoo?
Yeah, which is thrown in there with some other ridiculous things, like, they're not here to unfreeze the
cryogenically frozen pets of the 1%.
Yeah. So it was kind of sandwiched in the middle of 2 ridiculous statements, so I feel like it got missed for a while.
Definitely.
But there is a human zoo.
Like Pink Diamond's human zoo. Yeah.
They did abduct people, and they ended up doing it again later. Well, not specifically the hand, but they did steal more people.
Yeah, Aquamarine and Topaz came, and the only reason they didn't end up going to the human zoo is because Steven turned himself in.
Yeah, instead of a hand, they were on a Hershey Kiss ship.
Yeah, it was the one that was in that they hid in Funland.
Yes, the Hershey Kisses.
And so, but it's interesting because, like, obviously the hand ship that came in the Return was not there to go to the human zoo.
No.
But they did eventually, like, we did learn that it is a thing. So just that little bit where he talks about a human zoo, and then, like, 2 seasons later, bam! Like, how many people remember this quote? You go back and you watch the older episodes and you catch that and you're like, whoa.
Stupid Ronaldo was right again.
So we go into the one that I know are waiting to reference here is actually from the most recent Ronaldo episode. And when you brought it up to me, I was like, wow, because I hated this episode.
I challenge you to find someone who did like this episode.
I know, it was terrible, but from the episode Rocknaldo, go ahead. Ugh, I hated that episode so much.
In the scene where Steven is asking Ronaldo to come up with his gem name, and he's trying to describe, he's like, I don't know what kind of gem I should be, what my gem sona should be. I feel like I care so much. I think my gem would be deep in my heart, or like a million tiny gems, like one crushed up gem coursing through my blood, like bloodstone, and that's how he comes up with his name.
Yeah.
And I didn't think too much of it, and saw the episode again, don't ask me why, but I did. And that line really stood out to me, because I got to thinking, and I was like, he's put out lots of nuggets of information before, and it had been so long since he had, and this seemed like such an oddly specific thing to say that it kind of stood out to me. And so I've been watching episodes with my son, of course. He watches them every single day. And we were watching an old episode with, was it Together Breakfast, where he...
Yeah, Together Breakfast is where you, Yeah.
There is a crystal heart.
Inside the core of the temple.
Of the temple, with, like, sort of artery veins sort of things going all throughout the temple. And it kind of clicked for me then. If you connect that to Ronaldo's quote, it seems like Diamond was indeed shattered, and that all of the shattered pieces are now going throughout the temple in that crystal heart. And they never explain anything about the crystal heart other than it's dangerous.
Yeah, they say it leads to the most dangerous areas of the temple, one of which is Rose's room, which would, but that's a whole other topic for another time.
Right, so I don't have much else to put behind this, because we don't know that much about the crystal heart. We've only seen it really the one time, and they've never talked about it again.
And we've seen smaller kinds of instances, and they're very subtle. Like I know in On the Run, if you see the injector drills in the kindergarten, there's very small similar mechanisms like within the injectors, and it's but it's like with the size of the crystal heart in that temple, and the fact that like a lot of people would believe it powers the entire temple. I mean, because we hear Garnet say when she's doing the laundry, how are you powering the laundry or the washer and dryer from up here? She just says magic.
Yeah.
So we don't know. Like, we do know that Garnet can create electricity. We've seen it in Arcade Mania, but when she turns the video game back.
Right.
But that doesn't I feel like the temple is just so much bigger than that. I don't think that's something Garnet, especially without pressing herself against, could really do.
Yeah. And I do feel like it's also a bit more plausible, because in the episode Back to the Moon... No, it wasn't Back to the Moon. What was the episode where Amethyst disguises Jasper?
That's Back to the Moon.
It is Back to the Moon. I was correct. Good. I like being right. So, in that episode when he learns about Pink Diamond being shattered, Pearl looks utterly horrified.
She does.
And Garnet obviously looks pretty uncomfortable too, and obviously part of it is probably just the matter of, well, we didn't want you to find out that your mom was kind of an a-hole. But at the same time, it could also be bringing back traumatizing memories of, oh, we had to hide the body and be complicit in this murder in some way. And again, Pearl gets very, very upset when Steven wants to find the Palanquin, almost like it's bringing up some traumatic memories of hiding the body.
Well, and see, some people will also think that it's because she shattered her, which would explain why she doesn't shapeshift. I don't know if I'd necessarily go that far. Although it would explain why the Diamonds would want to cover it up, because if Homeworld learned that a lowly Pearl, could shatter a diamond, you could have a lot more rebellions, Yeah. So, but again, that's a topic for another time. And honestly, I don't really think who shattered Pink Diamond right now, going over all these suspects. I mean, I already did something on Yellow Diamond. I don't really think that's something we need to tackle right now. There's tons of these videos up on all you know, like the Round Table, AJ Universe, Slice of Otaku, Swaggy Thunder, all these guys have videos up on this stuff. Cartoon Universe, I'm pretty sure does. So there's a ton of them. So we don't really need to touch on that any, but the Crystal Heart, you know, again, and like you mentioned that to me, that was a really interesting theory. Like, obviously we don't have a ton of evidence, quote unquote.
Yeah.
But it is an interesting thing because we don't know very much about it.
No.
And it's something that I think a lot of people, I mean, like, have forgotten about. And
which they do love to wait until
yeah,
they forget about
and
something and bring
then
it back.
zing, you know, and it's just like that's it feels like something that the Crewniverse could be like, ha, we made you forget about this.
I also would like to note that we haven't read, like, the Steven's Guide to the Universe. Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's something like that.
Yeah, we haven't read
what it's called. Steven's Guide to the Crystal Gems.
Steven's Guide to the Crystal Gems, or anything like that. So I don't know if there's more information on the Crystal Heart and any of those kinds of books. We're going purely off the show.
Yeah. But that's like, yeah, that's really like it. Again, we don't really have much more to throw on top of this, but mainly I think just giving reasons as to why we don't really see it her shards being in the chest, the cluster, or over on Homeworld. Like, where else would you be? Buried in the earth, it wouldn't really be bubbled. I mean, unless they had the space like the cluster, so they would just arise again. So that means they have to be sealed away somewhere, and the Crystal Heart and the veins and all that would be like one giant bubble. Yeah. We know that it doesn't actually have to be a gem bubble because Garnet in Monster Reunion says the ship is their bubble now, in reference to the 3 centipedes.
I think she meant that in a different way than you're thinking, but...
Sure. But it's like they're not going to leave there because they've been reunited.
Right.
But bottom line here, I mean, you don't want to get too far off track. Just the Crystal Heart as a potential. Like, what do you guys think about that? Do you think Pink Diamond's remains could be in the Crystal Heart? Do you think what Ronaldo said about his gem name and how he wanted to make it be in the episode Rock Naldo could have been foreshadowing? I mean, we do know, or seems like Pink Diamond loved humans. I mean, the zoo was a utopia. Yeah. They weren't being tortured in there. So anyway, let us know what you guys think down in the comments below. If you guys want to discuss all that, be happy to respond to your comments and questions. Whether you agree, you disagree, you have a different idea. I'd love to hear your thoughts, get more people's ideas, and be curious to know what you guys all think. So thank you for hanging out with us. We love you guys, and hopefully get another Steven video up here pretty soon. So thanks again, and we'll see you next time. Cheers.